And one of the tunes that he played from a small child was a tune he couldn't remember the name of. He had been told the name, but you know, in those old days, you'd just say, okay, 1, 2, 3, and start another tune. You wouldn't stand there and say, yeah, this is written by so and so, and he wrote it just after his child died or something like that. They would just get going and play another tune. People were standing there. They wanted to dance. They didn't want to hear who did it. So he forgot the name, and one time he came up on this vehicle that was going too slow and had to pass it. And up on the top, it said Westphalia. And it dawned on him, that's the name of that waltz that he loved so much, that he played so much. And it was a Westphalia Volkswagen camper bus. And so, in passing that vehicle, he remembered the name of that tune. And so that's one of the tunes that he passed down to me. But many, many good polkas and fast tunes he taught to youngsters. One of the youngsters that he taught fiddle tunes to is a fellow called Nick Hoffman. And he's now, and has been for 10, 11 years, Kenny Chesney, the famous country western star, been his fiddler. Now, Nick doesn't play those tunes for Kenny Chesney. He plays that crazy, loud country music that Kenny Chesney comes up with. But when he comes back to town, him and I and his grandma's a great piano player. And when you're playing old-time music, you don't play note for note, you play chords, but you can get a little fancy once in a while. But dun 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 dun, you know, like that on the piano. And so, if you're playing the fiddle tune, it really backs you up and sets some timing for you. Well, Nick and I will play the fiddle, and Sybil Hoffman, his grandma, will play the piano, and we have a great time. We haven't done it that much, but we've done it, and it's just a lot of joy. Well, that young fellow is out there playing well and making a lot of money working for Kenny Chesney, and some of what he does today, I'm sure, was helped, at least in a minuscule sort of way, by my father, the Minnesota State fiddler. I do have probably 300 recordings of my father playing in a combination with various accordion players, banjo players, piano players, sometimes keyboard players. Arlen Erickson, a great piano and accordion, or piano and keyboard player from Starbuck, Minnesota, who was like a second or third cousin to me. Many times accompanied, and he was just great. He would carry a keyboard with him, and then they'd set up and play in some little town someplace for somebody that wanted to hear, and many times all they would get paid is what was in the hat or a coffee can when they passed it around. But they had a great time and enjoyed it. My mother often said that if the violin was another woman, she'd have lost out, because she never ever was able to say, and knew better than to say, well, you better not go play tonight, Harris. I want you to stay home and help me with the kids. Or, gosh, I don't know if we should afford the gas money to drive to that town. You'd never know how much you get paid. Never would you hear that, because she knew that it was in his blood. And she knew better than to ask him to back off from getting his fix, which was music, you know. And it went on from there to, he played right up till the day he died. He was laying in the hospital, and one of us, I think it was my brother Roger, was standing there, and the rest of us had gone a short distance away to clean up. We'd been there for off and on for a couple of days, and that night it was evident that he was going to go. And but while the rest of us were gone, and I believe it was Roger standing there, he suddenly woke up, and old Norwegians wouldn't say, "Do you suppose I could have some toast?" He'd say, "Is there so that I could get some toast and maybe a little juice?" You know, like that, see? And whoever was standing there said, "Oh my gosh." a moment ago my dad's heartbeats were down to like 30 or 17 or something really, really low. And now he's asking for orange juice and toast. And so my sibling went out to the hallway and said to the nurse, he's awake and he wants some orange juice and toast. So he took a couple bites of toast and he had his orange juice glass in his hand on the tray. And he suddenly was tapping. And no matter what he was doing, if he was driving in the car, he was tapping his finger to a tune. No matter where he was at. If he was just sitting, resting, he would do what we call trailing, under his breath, you know. And that's Norwegian word for making music with your tongue and lips, called trailing. And anyway, he was laying there in his last moments, but obviously vibrant for a few moments. And he said, "What do you think of this tune, Roger?" And he was tapping his glass. And Roger says, "Well, I don't know which tune that is." And I'm sure my dad was tapping it in wall speak, but he was, in his mind, he was showing his son which tune he was playing. And Roger said, "Well, I don't know which tune that is." "Oh," he said, "it's the Westphalia Waltz." He's tapping us. So in his mind, he was playing music. And a few seconds later, he laid his head over to the side and died. And so the man died doing what he loved to do, you know, and I'm very happy for him on that, you know. I don't know how else you can go any better. He didn't have pain. He wasn't suffering with terrible pain like a lot of people. It's terrible, but they do. They end up with a lot of pain. I have been involved quite a bit in Norwegian Hardanger, 8 and 9 string violin repair. And I don't know if you've heard about those or not, but they are the original fiddle, Hardanger fiddle, and a Norwegian Harding fiddle, they say. And there is a Minnesota State Hardanger Association. There's the United States Hardanger Association. So while it's not played that often at dances anymore, it's difficult to play, more difficult than the regular, what we call the regular flat fiddle. It's a wonderful instrument, and because of my dad's involvement with the music and Amundson being very Norse, years ago I was kind of established as someone that would work on the Hardangers. And right now I've got a few here, and it'd be fun for me to show you an example or two of that.